Hey everybody, what's up? Dr. Seth with the Cafe of Life Chiropractic Center. Hope you guys are doing well. It's a rainy Saturday morning as I'm recording this webinar. Who knows when you guys will be watching it. In any event, wanted to give you guys just trying to talk about various different things that we can do to stay healthy while we're sheltering in place. Obviously, right now with COVID-19 coronavirus, everybody is very much focused on health, on well-being, what we need to do to keep our immune system boosted to the best of our ability. I've been talking with patients all week long and lots of conversation about what it is that we can do. There's various different, so the bullet points, right? Bullet points are, keeping your nerve system communicating to the best of its ability. Patients are coming in and getting adjusted. We know that when you get adjusted, we release pressure from the nerve system. That nerve system controls and regulates the immune system. So automatically you're boosting your immune system when you're free of that spinal misalignment. We know that pain increases cortisol. When your cortisol levels are high, it's putting you into fight or flight mode, which is taking you away from parasympathetic. Parasympathetic is rest and digest. That's where the energy expensive immune system takes place. So getting your nerve system clear, getting adjusted, also making sure to keep your stress levels down in general. So mindfulness, we talked about that the other day, mindfulness, being still, being present, and doing what we can do to just try to have as emotional stability, trying to keep our stress levels down, keep our cortisol levels down, meditation, journaling, just trying to keep ourselves as serene as possible, not panicking in this situation is helpful. What we're putting in our bodies, what we're eating, we have to eat healthy, we have to eat clean. We want to keep the inflammation down. Remember, more inflammation, more stress on the system takes us away from rest and digest, parasympathetics, decreases your immune system as well. So eat healthfully, stay away from the sugar, stay away from high dairy, stay away from crap. Mostly just putting in nutrient-dense vegetables, lean protein, healthy fats. That's going to be your best thing to do. Drink lots of water, folks. Make sure that you're hydrated to the best of your ability. So we have clear nerve system. We have mindfulness, trying to keep your stress levels down. We have eating clean, moving your body. Really important to get moving right now. It's okay to get outside and walk around a bit. Keep your social distancing 6 feet. That's fine, but we got to move our bodies. We can do that inside too. Get on your Peloton, calisthenics, sit-ups, push-ups, crunches, all different kinds of things that we can do. Air squats in the house to keep ourselves moving our body. We got to move our bodies. Contact me, hit me up via text, email, call. I'm happy to help with updating your web exercise programs. But today we're going to talk about a healthy one. We're going to talk about a very important one, and that's sleep. Sleep, so very important right now. So we need to make sure that you guys are getting the proper amount of sleep. If you can't sleep, your body can't be healthy. It's that simple, okay? So I have a PowerPoint presentation I'm going to go over with you guys. Let's see if we can get this dialed in. Give me a second here to get this worked up. Okay, here we go. Slideshow, play from the start. Here we go. Okay, so I think we're live with the PowerPoint presentation. So sleep issues. I'm gonna plow through this pretty quickly, and if you guys have questions, hit me up, and I'm happy to go over it in more detail with you guys. But I know you don't want to sit in front of this. I mean, obviously we have a lot more time on our hands right now, but let's just get through it. We're going to get to the nitty-gritty, talk about a little bit of the physiology behind sleep and what you guys can do to help with getting the proper amount of sleep. So battery charge, right? Think about your phone. What happens when your phone goes down in low battery? Whoa, I don't know if you're like my 15-year-old son. It's like, whoa, battery's down. That's bad. Got to get it on the charger right away. But how do we charge our bodies? Charge our bodies with sleep. And so sleep is very important. I'll just get out there, right? 7+ hours of sleep a night, very important. So sleep issues, we're going to talk about various different types of sleep issues. We've got sleep apnea, we've got thoracic outlet syndrome, we've got restless leg syndrome. Those are, various different sleep issues that we're going to go over during the course of this presentation. But let's set the stage a little bit. Let's talk about body signals. This is our body signals program. We've got a variety of different talks that we do. We used to do them live in person. Now we're doing them more webinar, which makes a lot of sense. But symptoms or body signals is just kind of the tip of the iceberg, right? What are symptoms telling us? In our society, a lot of times when we have symptoms, those symptoms we want to mask with medication, right? So in our society, we've got a pill for everything. We've got a headache, we've got Excedrin headache. We have sinus issues, we've got Claritin. But body signals are really, they're just keys. They're just signs to tell us, hey, what's going on with our bodies? And this is the best time to listen, right? We can mask those symptoms and just perpetuate the problem and make it worse. Or we could try to figure out, well, what's the underlying reason behind what's going on with these different symptoms? And so you need to address the overall problem. And that's what body signals is all about, okay? So in our office, our philosophy is, hey, let's find out what the underlying cause is. Let's address the underlying cause. Maybe we can help you with that in our office. Maybe we know other things that you can do outside the office, whether that's ergonomics, stretches, exercises, nutrition, mindfulness. Maybe we can refer you to somebody else outside the office that can better help you with that. But listen, if your body is talking, you got to listen to it, all right? Don't do what the large majority of our society does, which is just mask it and push it along. Oh, I think it'll get better. Usually it doesn't just get better on its own, all right? So let's talk about the health continuum. Give me just a second here. Health continuum. So what do symptoms really say about your health, right? There's only two ways to be moving on this health continuum. You can either be moving towards symptom, sickness, and disease, towards premature death, or you could be moving towards high level of wellness. If you've been a patient of mine for a while, you've seen this up on my report of findings. You see it all the time. We talk about this illness-wellness continuum. In which direction do you want to be moving, right? Symptoms tell us if you have too many symptoms, you're moving in the wrong direction. You can have a treatment paradigm which states, hey, if you have symptoms and you treat those symptoms, then you must be well. We know that that's false. We know that that just kind of brings you to this neutral point or just kind of fake wellness, if you will, in the middle. The wellness paradigm basically says, hey, we know you have signs, we know you have symptoms, we want to address those to the best of our ability, but we want to create an awareness as to what is actually causing these symptoms. We want to help educate you. Can we help you with those symptoms as services that we provide in the office? Those services are expanding right now during COVID-19. They're expanding. So, teleconferencing, I had a teleconference this morning on a Saturday morning with a patient, a disc patient who is in excruciating pain and looking for education. So I was talking him down, giving him some information about what he can do at home until he can get into the office. So we want to create an awareness as to what's causing the problem. What is it in your life that's causing this problem? Is it lifestyle? Is it trauma? What is it? Educate you on what we can do for you, but perhaps maybe what you could do for yourself in terms of what you can do at home, exercises, stretches. Are there other practices that can help you as well? We're trying to help people grow into the healthiest human beings that we can. But just know, everybody's on this continuum. You want to decide and discern for yourself, which way are you moving? Are you moving towards wellness, high level of wellness, or are you moving towards symptoms, sickness, and disease? And, it's up to you to decide which way you want to go. And symptoms are just they just kind of tell us in what direction we're going. Okay, so let's talk about a better premise for health. Better premise for health. This is what we are, basically talking about in the office all the time, right? We know that the body, healthy is normal, okay? And right now in this society, we talk about when people are, in relationship to getting sick. I'm a big believer that we don't get sick, we do sick, right? You don't get healthy, you do healthy. It's the activities that you do on a consistent basis that are going to keep you sick or keep you healthy. I think everybody's looking to try to be as healthy as they possibly can. But you have to know that our design is to be healthy. We're not designed to be sick, okay? We're designed to be, our bodies are smart. We're designed to be healthy, So we know that the nervous system is the master communication system that controls and regulates all other systems, including the immune system right now. So when it comes to the immune system, yeah, absolutely. You want to make sure that your nerve system is communicating to the best of your ability. If you want to have a healthy immune system, you have to have a healthy nerve system. And if you want to have a healthy nerve system, you have to have a healthy spine. And if you want to have a healthy spine, you have to not have misalignments, subluxation. And chances are, I'll just go out and say it, if you want to have a healthy spine, and you don't want to have misalignments of your spine, you need to be getting adjusted by a chiropractor. Obviously, that's my bias because I'm a chiropractor, but nonetheless, want to have a healthy nervous system, want to have a healthy immune system, have to have a healthy spine, right? So now's the time to really, double up on your chiropractic care. We're doing the best that we can in the office to minimize exposure in the office, and we are, definitely helping people trying to stay out of the ER, trying to help people stay out of the urgent care center as it relates to, really acute pain, chronic pain, and so forth. However, yes, there are people that are coming in to just boost their immune system, and that's a decision that they're making for themselves to ensure that they can try to stay healthy during this time. Your spine is your suit of your armor, right? Your spine is your suit of armor, so making sure that that spine is aligned properly and it's strong is going to help to make sure that that nervous system is communicating to the best of its ability. And you know what? Modern life is unnaturally stressful. Our ancestors did not deal with this kind of stress. This chronic bombardment, especially in these times, social media, news, constant news cycle, all of this is unnatural stress that we're dealing with. And we're living unnaturally, right? We're just living unnaturally. I think this picture pretty much says the whole thing, right? It's nighttime. This person should be sleeping. Looks like a child to me. You've got the screen on, and we're just dialed into this screen. Okay, there's a lot wrong with this problem. We are not living naturally. We're living extremely unnaturally. All right. So, okay, let's moving forward. So stressed, right? We're all stressed right now. Do you have more stress now in your body than you had 5 years ago? Absolutely. I think we can all raise your hand. If, give me a like if you, or give me a heart emoji. Give me a like if you can relate to that. Right? Do you have more stress today than you had 5 years ago? Chances are you do. How about 5 years before that? What direction do you think you're going in terms of stress in your life? Technology has an impact on your sleep. All right. And that parlays into, what we were talking about with neck pressure just a long time ago, and tech neck, and everybody looking down at their phones like this, okay? There's just a perpetuation of lots of stress going on in the body. Obviously, tech neck, right now, we're all at home, we're all on our devices, we're all looking down like this. This perpetuates more pressure on the neck. Remember, for every inch forward that your head moves, you're adding an additional 10 pounds of weight to the weight of your head, and that's causing problems for you. So let's talk about stress. There's 3 different types of stress that we talk about in the office. We have our thoughts, we have our toxins, and we have our traumas, right? Mental and emotional health, chemical stress, and physical stress. So let's break them down. We're going to talk today, because we're talking about sleep, right? So we want to know with sleep, let me just get some of my notes going on over here. So we have this primal design, right? Sun comes in, that affects the pituitary. Pituitary talks to various other different types of glands and organs in the body. We know that the pituitary talks with the pineal, and you get secretion of melatonin. It also goes down, works with the liver, works with digestion, and between food, activity, and body temperature, that very much affects these corticoids, right? So cortisol levels. It can affect your cortisol levels, it can affect your stress levels, and that is going to impact how your sleep cycles work, right? So we know that we have sun, we know that what we eat, and we know that our sleep is all very much intertwined, right? And so we're going to get into it a little bit more right here. Let's take a look at the natural circadian rhythms, okay? So these are our natural circadian rhythms. If you start at 12 midnight, we know that at 2 a.m. is where we have our deepest sleep. 4:30 is where our body temperature is at our lowest. 6 a.m., we get the sharpest blood pressure rise at about 6 a.m. 7:30, melatonin secretion stops. At 10 o'clock, that's where we're at our highest alertness. That's where we have the most alert. That's where a lot of people are trying to get very intense work done. That's where we're most alert. That's where we can have our most focus. By 12 noon, then we're kind of moving across. 2:30, that's where we have our best coordination. 3:30 is where we have our fastest reaction time. By 5 o'clock is where we have our greatest cardiovascular efficiency and muscular strength. By 6:30 p.m., that's where we have our highest blood pressure. 7 o'clock p.m., our highest body temperature. By 9 o'clock, that's where melatonin starts to secrete, okay? So that's kind of how the whole cycle's working through there. And, we know that we have light, we have our hormones, we have our rhythms and our cycles, and think about it. Compare and contrast to what our ancestors had to what our ancestors were doing, right? Sun went down, time to go to sleep. Sun came up, time to get up. That's what our bodies and our natural circadian rhythms are meant to do, right? So when we alter that with just social media and being on the screen and being on the screen time until moments before we go to sleep. We have our iPhone right next to us in bed over here. We have lights all over the place. We have 1,000 different types of digital lights in our room, and we're going to sleep at 11 o'clock, and we are sleeping until later in the day. It just messes up all of our circadian rhythms. No wonder why we're having trouble sleeping. So this is what the natural circadian rhythms look like. I mean, not everybody can afford to live this cycle right now, but we want to try to do the best that we can to be consistent with the natural circadian rhythms. That's how you're going to get the best type of sleep. We talk a lot in the office about rhythm. Rhythm is very important, right? If you go to sleep at the same time every night and you wake up at the same time every morning, you eat regimented meals, our bodies do good with rhythm. I talk about this in the office all the time. Rhythm is extremely important. Okay, so let's continue to move forward. This is the natural cortisol cycle. And cortisol, we're always talking about cortisol in the office all the time as well, right? So cortisol levels drop 12 o'clock, p.m. Cortisol levels are dropping down 6 o'clock, really low in the middle of the night, okay? Circadian release of cortisol at its lowest while we're sleeping. Starts to kind of push back up, pushes back up, at 6 a.m. By the middle of the day, your cortisol levels are at its highest, which is where it should be, right? Cortisol is your stress hormone. And don't get me wrong, cortisol is a very important stress hormone, okay? Very, very, very important. We want to make sure that our cortisol levels are normal and are healthy. We do get what we call adrenal fatigue, high levels of cortisol, which is a problem, and most of us have this adrenal fatigue going on. But this is the natural cortisol cycle, and it moves along with the circadian release of our sleep, right? At night, cortisol levels are down, comes back up in the middle of the day is where it's at its highest, and then it starts to come down again. When you start messing with that with a lot of digital media, with eating various different types of food that are keeping us up at night, caffeine, alcohol, drugs, you name it, anything can affect this cortisol cycle, and it's definitely going to affect our sleep, okay? Chronic elevated cortisol levels, limited exertion. So when we have chronic elevated cortisol levels, it affects us in a variety of different ways, right? It affects our hunger, it affects fat storage, chronic low-level stress response, chronic elevated cortisol, adaptive physiology, sleep, all of it is affected, right? So let's dive into that. Sleep deprivation. So what happens with sleep deprivation? Unnatural schedules, sleep deprivation, cortisol cycles get upset, melatonin gets downregulated, right? So if melatonin gets downregulated, we're going to have trouble sleeping, right? Insulin sensitivity gets downregulated. We know when insulin sensitivity gets downregulated, we talk about fat storage. And nobody wants fat storage. We're going to talk a little bit more about that in just a moment. But cortisol levels get upset. Melatonin starts to get downregulated, which makes it hard to sleep and perpetuates the cycle. Insulin sensitivity is downregulated, so that is going to lead to fat storage. Unnatural lighting, hibernation. Let's talk about that, right? So if we are extending the period at which we're not sleeping and it gets affected with unnatural lighting, right? So when we have unnatural lighting and we've got too much light, that is going to affect various different types of hormones. Leptin goes down right? So leptin is a hunger hormone. When leptin goes down, appetite goes up. We have ghrelin. When ghrelin is going to start to go up, and that's going to get our appetite up. Cortisol is going to be affected, and so we're going to start to crave carbs. And then insulin is going to affect fat storage. So sleep deprivation is just bad, right? All different kinds of things happen when we're not getting the proper amount of sleep. And especially, fat storage hormone, belly fat, not fun. Let's take a look at it. Belly fat, all right? This picture, it kind of says it all, right? Historically, our ancestors experienced chronic low-grade stress in times of famine, right? Chronic low-grade stress leads to elevated cortisol. Elevated cortisol, that's your stress hormone. This triggers centripetal fat storage, okay, for survival. So that's pretty much what our ancestors, that was the natural deal, right? So times of famine, chronic stress hormone, cortisol, triggers this centripetal fat. We want to store fat for survival, belly fat. But that's generally not wanted by most of us, myself included. So I know that you guys love doing burpees, and I know that you guys love strict dieting, but could you imagine if the solution towards your centripetal fat was for you to just sleep better? Well, partially it is. If you sleep more, it will cut down on this centripetal fat. The more sleep deprivation you get, the more cortisol levels are going to go up, and the more of this centripetal fat you're going to have. So if you're looking to get rid of some belly fat, burpees are good. I think they're awesome. Strict dieting, that's good too. But getting better sleep, that's kind of easier. So best practices, use your circadian rhythms as a guide, okay? Use your circadian rhythms as a guide. 8 to 9 hours, maybe use one of those, use a Fitbit, use your Whoop, use your Apple, watch, whatever it is that you use. I go for 7+. I don't necessarily get 8 to 9. 7+ hours seems to do it for me. You want to be in a dark, quiet, comfortable place. Dark, quiet, and comfortable. Those are the best conditions to get good sleep. E-fast, do an E-fast if you can do 2 hours before you go to bed. Reduce the alcohol and the caffeine, and make it a household culture, right? Household culture means basically, just make sure everybody does it at the same time, right? Parents do it, kids do it. Go to sleep early, get to bed earlier. That's going to make it a culture, and it's going to make it better for everybody to do. All right? So we're going to break down some of these different issues: sleep apnea, thoracic outlet, restless leg syndrome. When we talk about this, what we have to do is we have to talk about it in a larger contextual way to look at it, which is, what affects some of these different issues is nerve supply, right? Nerve supply. When we have nerve supply, we know that the nerve system is the master communication system that controls and regulates your whole entire existence. If we take a look at the circuit breaker over here, your spine is your circuit breaker. When we have misalignments of the vertebrae, that could put pressure on the nerves. The nerves don't communicate, and those nerves don't communicate to the various different organs. So if they're not communicating to the pineal gland or the pituitary gland or wherever it might be, obviously that is going to cause various different types of physiological problems. We know that the structure of spine is directly proportional to the function and the physiology of the nerve system. And so that's what we do day in and day out in the office, is help people with their physiology through the structure of their spine. So let's talk about the big idea. The big idea, subluxation, right? So we know this. The big idea is this. Here's the big idea. The big idea is that the body has an incredible ability to heal. We know that the body is self-healing, self-regulating organisms. Our bodies are, they're like I just said, they're self-regulated, right? And they're self-healing. We know if we cut ourselves, and you can see that cut heals, but that same healing happens from the inside out. We talk about it all the time. We started with a sperm and an egg, one cell proliferation. We're talking about 70 trillion cells approximately in our bodies right now. That is incredible human design. That same design that helped create who you are also has the ability to help heal yourself. So we know that it's a lot harder to heal yourself when you have subluxation. Subluxation is misalignment of the spine. What happens when you get a joint misalignment? That is going to affect soft tissue. That soft tissue is going to get damaged. When it does, it creates inflammation. When you get inflammation, that nerve gets irritated on the way out of where that joint is. That can create a muscle spasm. That muscle spasm is going to compress and it's going to contract and it's going to prevent you from moving around, which is your body's natural way of protecting you. But that is going to cause more of a fixation. That joint is going to get stuck. And when it gets stuck, it's going to compress. And when it compresses, it's going to build bone and it's going to create degeneration over long periods of time. We also know that it creates a stress hormone production, right? When you have subluxation, it puts you in a constant state of cortisol output, which is chronic elevated stress, which is no good, especially for sleep and other different issues or physiological issues that cause sleep. So cortisol, stress hormone production. Melatonin gets downregulated. So if melatonin gets downregulated, you're not going to be able to sleep as well. Blood pressure starts to increase. It downregulates insulin sensitivity. It weakens your connective tissues. It also, your immune system gets downregulated when you have cortisol. And so that's what we're all talking about. That's what we're here talking about today. What can we do to boost our immune system? What can we do to be healthy? How can we protect ourselves from this virus? One of the things we want to do is keep our immune system boosted, and high levels of cortisol are bad for that. I'll say it again. High levels of cortisol, bad. Cortisol is a very good, healthy hormone. We need it in our body for various different types of things, but we don't want it to be too high, especially right now. So, and then inflammation and swelling is also contributed with high levels of cortisol. So sleep apnea. Let's talk about sleep apnea. Who knows people that have sleep apnea, right? Sleep apnea is a common condition, right? Well, what is it? Sleep apnea is when you lay down on your back, the vocal cords in through there and the trachea, the tissues kind of get close together like this. And when that happens, it's hard to get air through. Okay, that's essentially what it is. When you're in a certain position, the trachea, the tissues in through there don't allow for proper exchange of air to come in and out. Now, when it says here chemical, the chemical component of it is people who have sleep apnea. Hey, listen, some of this is not rocket science, right? Like, yes, some people have a hard time with the anatomy and the tissues as it relates to their trachea and their throat, and so it's hard to get air in and get air out in certain positions. However, if you throw a whole bunch of inflammatory foods on top of it, if you throw a lot of dairy on top of it and a lot of sugar on top of it and a lot of high fatty foods on top of it, you're going to have even more inflammation and more problems, right? If you take care of yourself, you're careful with what chemicals you put in there, that can definitely help, right? People that have sleep apnea know if they eat like crap and they throw a bunch of inflammatory foods in their body, it's going to be a lot of, oh, I shouldn't have had that pizza last night. Oh, I shouldn't have had that ice cream last night. And it affects it. As far as chiropractic is concerned, we know that up in the cervical spine between C1 and C3, C6 and C7, these are areas that we can adjust that can help with the physiological result of helping with the soft tissue in through the throat, in through here, right? So chiropractic's not a cure for sleep apnea. I wouldn't say that chiropractic is necessarily a cure for anything. But patients that have sleep apnea, if we adjust the upper cervical spine, C1 to C3, and then down at C6, C7, and we give people good information about what they can do to reduce the amount of inflammation and chemicals that they're putting into their body, we can actually help people to be a lot more comfortable with the sleep apnea that they have. And we find that oftentimes patients will say that, maybe the sleep apnea is not gone entirely, but it's a whole lot better than it was. All right. So we know that there is a direct correlation between the cervical spine and the physiology of the throat and the trachea and the tissues in through this area. Okay. Oftentimes people have what we call limitations of matter as far as their anatomy is concerned, so it's an anatomical problem, but oftentimes, this definitely can help. Thoracic outlet syndrome. Thoracic outlet syndrome, ton of problems up and through the upper. What we find is that people that have thoracic outlet syndrome that are tossing and turning throughout the night in their mid-spine, very uncomfortable, turned over, rotated. When they're turned over and they're rotated, that puts a lot of pressure into the nerves that come out through the holes on the side, which are called the foramen. But when we have a bunch of rotation in through there, it puts pressure on the nerves in through there, and it causes a whole host of different problems. So let's see. Running out of battery here, so I hope we can finish this sooner than later. Nonetheless, thoracic outlet syndrome, if we adjust the mid-thoracic spine, T5, T9, those are areas where we can really open up that thoracic spine. We can open up the area, the foramen, where the nerves come out that control and regulate. And people that have thoracic outlet syndrome that have a lot of problems sleeping in the middle of the night, tossing and turning with pain in their mid-back, when we adjust their thoracic spine, T5 through T9, really opens that up, releases muscle tension in through that area as well, and people get a lot of relief. Restless leg syndrome, restless leg syndrome, ooh, so painful. Patients that come in here are so unhappy when they come in with restless leg syndrome. Nobody knows, oh, that might be genetic. It's just like, I don't know that it's genetic or it's not genetic. What I do know is that restless leg syndrome is very much correlated with the lower spine and the sacrum, L4, L5, S1 to S3. The neurological complications of this, if we take a look at, give me a second here. Let me go back on this one. Restless leg syndrome, when we, again, adjusting the lower part of the spine, we know that the lower part of the spine controls the lower lumbar spine controls and regulates everything down into the lower extremities, right? So not just the muscles, but the sexual organs, the bladder, the rectum, the colon, all of these different organs are controlled and regulated by the nerves that come out in the lower part of the spine as well. But as far as the muscles that go into the lower part, we have pain, which is slow twitch fibers, but then we have rapid movement, which is fast twitch fibers. And so the fast twitch fibers are what's causing all of this restless leg syndrome. But when we adjust the lower spine, get the pressure off the nerve, oftentimes that can help patients with this fast twitch syndrome and the pain that's experienced with the legs as it relates to sleeping. So another sleeping issue that oftentimes is helped with chiropractic. Again, chiropractic's not a panacea, it's not a cure for everything, but it has a tendency to help with a variety of these different symptoms. And we're talking about what we could do to try to get the best sleep that we possibly can at this point in time. Subluxation causes nerve interference and in the body's innate, and it affects with the body's innate ability to heal and to remain healthy. All right, so as chiropractors, our job is to correct subluxation, get the pressure off the nerve, allow the nerve to communicate better, so there's a better correlation between the structure of the spine and the function of the nerve system. What causes subluxation? Lifestyle, folks. Look at it. Lifestyle. Physical, mental, and emotional, and chemical stress. So it's the things that we do day in and day out that are affecting our body's ability to handle all this. And when this stress manifests in the spine, it causes subluxation. So a lot of what I do day in and day out is just help coach people about how they can live their lives in a healthier manner so that they can stop perpetuating the problem. We know that for every inch forward that our head moves, you're adding an additional 10 pounds. And this is one of the biggest things that we have to work on right now that is affecting us, especially when we're home and we're looking down at our devices and we're on laptops and we're not at our desks and we're staying at home and our home offices are not as ergonomically connect. So, we don't want to devolve, right? We don't want to devolve into this position. Take a look at your kids on their devices. Everything is going to be going to school right now online. Really going to be important that you get your kids active and that you try to counteract all of this looking down like this. It's going to be a massive problem. So 3 steps to correct the cause of what's going on. We've got to break the bad habits that are causing what's going on, right? You can't keep doing the same things that you're doing and expect that you're going to get better results. We have to add, exercises to strengthen. And again, connect with me about your web exercise program. I'm happy to give you some new exercises while you're at home. We have this tricked out program. You can watch videos on how to do these exercises and these stretches and this mobility work to help keep you moving. And then chiropractic adjustments, that's what we do. Realign the spine, correct the subluxation, get the pressure off the nerve, allow the nerve system to communicate better. When your nerve system communicates better, it's going to boost your immune system as well. If you can't sleep, get adjusted and you're going to sleep better. People that get adjusted sleep better. It's that simple. In any event, listen, I hope that this has been helpful. We don't want our batteries to be like this, right? We want our batteries to be like this. I'd love to help you with that. We're doing all kinds of stuff right now to try to get creative. Yes, we're in the office, limited hours, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 9 to 12. helping people with need, helping people to stay out of the ER, helping people to stay out of urgent care. We want to keep people out of those facilities right now. So anything that we can do to help with that is appropriate. It's called essential medical care. For those of you that are looking to boost your immune system and to try to help keep you as healthy as we possibly can, we're here for you as well. I'm doing virtual consultations, Zoom, Skype, FaceTime, get on the phone. We're staying here. We're open. We're not going dark at the Cafe of Life. We love you. We appreciate you. We want to help keep you as healthy as we possibly can. Hopefully this has been helpful for you. Stay in touch with us. Call us. We want to hear from you, okay? If you're scared to come in, that's fine. Everybody has to make a personal choice right now. Let's get on the phone. I'll do a virtual consultation with you. We'll talk about health issues and how you can stay healthy, and we'll do it virtually, okay? So what do you need to do to know if you have subluxation? Hey, listen, if you know people that are struggling right now, we do instrumentation, we do motion palpation, static palpation, we look at posture, we look at x-ray. We're looking to get people checked. I'm amazed. I've got new patients calling me almost every day right now trying to get in because health is on the mind. So if you know of somebody that we can help, please let us know. We're here to help you, your family, your friends, anybody that you feel that could benefit. Let us know. We're here to help, okay? And then don't procrastinate. It's like procrastination. The worst thing that you can do is say, I'll take care of it later, and then never take care of it, and it perpetuates, and it makes a big problem. So listen, we're here for you. We love and appreciate you. Thank you to all the patients that have been reaching out and supporting us and buying packages for when this whole thing is over. As a small business, we're obviously being affected like so many people are. And you guys have been just absolutely, I can't even say, I'm so blessed. Thank you so much for helping the office to stay afloat, to helping the staff and everything. We're super appreciative, and let us know how we can help you. We really want to help. If you need a home visit, I'm happy to do that. So just let me know as well. All right? We'll get through this together as a community, and we will rise through it all. All right? Thank you so much for your attention. Hope this has been helpful. Thanks.